So there's a lot of absolute crap on the internet when it comes to language learning. And so I've decided to make this video on language learning myths versus reality, just to kind of basically talk you through a few things that aren't actually true. So if you are looking to learn a language, you can get an understanding of what is real, what isn't real. So the first myth I'm going to address is there is a limit to how good you can get / how many languages you can know. They're kind of like a similar thing. The reality is, nope, that's not true at all. The only limit is the time / effort you invest. Obviously, if you want to learn 10,000 languages to fluency, there simply isn't enough time in the human lifespan to be able to do that. But if you want to learn a few languages, anyone can definitely become proficient in a few languages across a few years, unless you have some kind of severe brain disorder or absolutely zero time. Anyone can do it. And there really is no limit to the level you can reach. A lot of people think, okay, in this foreign language, because it's not my native language, I'm never going to be good at it because I don't live there. I can only get so far. And that's actually not true at all. If you did invest a lot of time and perhaps you would need to move there, you can become better at it. The reason you wouldn't be as good at it as your native language is pretty simple, which is because you're using your native language constantly. If you went and lived in China for 20 years and learned Mandarin, you would be fluent in it. There is just zero chance you wouldn't be, unless you just did absolutely nothing and only hung around English speakers. So you can reach a very, very high level in any language, even if it isn't your native language. And it's literally up to the amount of time and effort you invest. Something I do want you to understand is your brain retains information based on importance. So if you look at a code, like a password to put in, and you literally never need it again for the rest of your life, you'll instantly forget it unless it's something generic, simply because it's not useful at all, and so you have no reason to store it in your long-term memory. The way a lot of people learn languages is they learn stuff kind of, and they don't really lock it into their long-term memory, and so they just forget everything, which is really frustrating, but it's what happens a lot of the time. And if that's happening to you, you're welcome to check out my course for language learning as well. But that is basically how remembering stuff in a foreign language goes. So if you do learn and consistently use multiple languages to a high standard, you will remember them. I know for me, I haven't been using Italian as much as I should be, which is why I've gotten rustier in it. So I've actually booked a few lessons with a teacher. I might actually make some content out of it, just because I've gotten a bit rusty. And I know a lot of people are like that, so maybe a video on that would be useful. But just as a final thing, people have easily reached fluency in 10 plus languages. And I know what you're thinking, oh, it's a scam. I'm not talking about people on YouTube, like, I can't even pronounce his channel name. It's like XIA. It's this guy. I actually put him in at the start of this video. This guy's channel, I haven't actually watched that much of his channel, but from what I've seen and what I've heard from other people, a lot of the videos he makes, even though he probably does know a few languages, but a lot of his videos where he talks about being fluent, he like fakes the subtitles kind of and puts different captions on when he's speaking in a foreign language to what he's actually saying. And it's kind of, he makes videos like how to learn a language. It's just absolute crap. There are a lot of people like that, but there are also people who are extremely talented and have actually learned 10 plus languages to fluency. And yes, obviously that does take a lot of experience, plus maybe a little bit of natural talent to be that good. A lot of people just probably wouldn't be able to remember that much stuff, but it is possible. And so anyone could really learn a few languages across a few years. There's literally no reason why you couldn't. The second myth number 2, is that Duolingo is either A, all you need, or B, completely useless. So kind of two completely opposite things, but I put them in the same myth because neither of them are true. So Duolingo does teach content in a heavily gamified way. If you've never seen or used Duolingo before, I doubt that's anyone, but it's basically an app for language learning. And it kind of does little games and stuff and lessons for learning. You will never reach proficiency in a language only using Duolingo. I'm just going to be completely honest. If you're learning Italian or something on Duolingo and you only do Duolingo, can you learn stuff? Absolutely. You can 100% learn stuff. You can learn so many words from it, but you're never going to actually be proficient in the language. You're going to be good at like answering questions like, what is the word for yellow? You might be able to say, okay, giallo. Like it's easier like that, but you wouldn't be able to talk to people or listen to people. So Duolingo is certainly not all you need. However, it is a great tool for beginners, and this is going to get probably some hate comments depending on who gives enough of a shit to comment on these videos. But Duolingo is actually useful, kind of, and I'll explain why. The reason it's useful is because if you've never learned a language before apart from your native language, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and have like no idea what to do at all. It's just frustrating. A lot of beginners just don't actually know what to invest their time in, and the good thing about Duolingo is it actually provides a very clear structure of things you can go through and learn. So if you want to, you can do the lesson, then you can actually do some other study on that specific topic, and so you're not really you're not worried about whether what you're doing is a waste of time or you're worried about what you need to do next because you're not sure and that kind of thing. So that is kind of the advantage of Duolingo. The takeaway is, my recommendation is use Duolingo if you want as a beginner, but it shouldn't be the main focus. It should be augmenting your learning. And then the better you get at the language you're learning, just try and move away from it over time. You can still check in on it, or you can keep a daily streak if you want when you're more advanced, but just don't waste hours on it every single day, because it really isn't going to get you that far in the language you're learning. The third thing, myth number 3, is that there are secrets/shortcuts to learning a language really quickly in like a couple of months or a couple of weeks, or God forbid, 24 hours. Where's that bloody hell? Yeah, if you see videos like this, they just don't ever watch them. They're just absolute crap. And they're designed to get a view from you and not actually give you anything. The reality is that nope, whilst there are technically, people are going to click off when I say this, there are technically secrets to language learning, but they're not the secrets you think. They're not like, they're not secrets like, oh, here's how you learn a language in 24 hours. They're just things that actually work and nobody talks about them, because they're not like the sexy clickbait answers. By secrets, I mean things like the input repetition method, or specific techniques that you can use to remember words, or maybe like a productivity timetable, eating the frog, just basic things we've talked about. Those are kind of secrets because they're not really talked about a lot, but they're not like hacks to learn a language really fast. That's what I mean. I'm pretty sure you get what I mean. But the thing is, our society constantly looks for shortcuts. Whether it's next time you watch, I'm not going to give that example, sorry, because it might hurt some people's feelings. Just look for shortcuts in life, like not to do them, but just see how often, once you're looking for them, you'll notice they're literally everywhere. There's shortcuts to do with health, there's shortcuts to do with language learning, the gym, money. Oh, there's so many shortcuts to do with money on the internet. If you type in like how to make X amount of money a month, there'll just be video after video of just absolute crap of people lying. And yeah, that's just because we're a society that looks for shortcuts, and the videos on YouTube or social media basically follow the market. People make videos to get them watched, and so if people want to watch these kind of videos, those are the videos that are going to get made. So when you see the top 0.00001% of people who are really good at language learning, maybe they speak like 6 or 7 languages fluently, you just assume that they cheated or that they're lying, and a lot of them are lying, as we proved before. But some of them aren't. There are plenty that can actually speak a bunch of languages quite well. And they didn't cheat. There was no secret to doing it, apart from the secrets I just talked about. They literally just buckled down. They learnt about language learning to get better at it, and then they just learnt the language, and they consistently use the language, and that's why they're very good at it. So what I want you to understand is that results in anything are the product of the time and the effort you invest, and that is literally how you learn a language. Learning about language learning can be beneficial as well. If you want to like study how can I remember words better, maybe you need to watch a video on how to use flashcards more effectively and that kind of thing. But overall, there really is no secret cheat to language learning. That's why it infuriates me when I see videos like the one I just showed you, because they're just absolute nonsense, and they basically prey on people who don't know that that's not true, and they want to believe in that, but it's not true. And a bonus myth I'll give you guys is that languages have a set amount of time it will take to learn. This isn't true at all. We've probably all seen the map where they like color the different countries depending on how difficult and how long it takes to learn the language, and they might be like, oh, yellow means like 48 to 52 weeks, blue means 88 to 90 weeks. And it's like, that's not true at all. There is no specific amount of time it takes to learn a language. Some languages are harder than others, which means they're going to take longer. But overall, it is going to be quite difficult to learn a second language, or learn your first proper language other than your native language. It's for 95% of people, they're not going to be able to do it in less than a year. 95% of the people that actually do learn the language, it's not going to take a year. For me, it took 18 months to learn Italian to somewhat conversational level. I read the entire Harry Potter series in Italian, plus a few other books. I can talk to people. I can't understand people when they talk extremely fast. Like, I had a guy at work who was very, very Italian. I had difficulty understanding him in English because he had a very, very strong accent. And when he spoke Italian, I didn't actually understand some of what he said. So I had to say, sorry, could you say that again slower? So yeah, that is basically the reality when it comes to language learning. I didn't put in a huge amount of effort every single day with Italian, but it does take a significant amount of time. You can learn a language in less than a year, but you're going to have to put in a lot of effort, and it's going to have to be a pretty easy language. And if you go live there, that would make it easier, and you probably could do it in less than a year. But yeah, just don't think too highly of yourself and have a huge expectation where you're going to learn very, very quickly. It's just not going to happen. If you want to learn faster, just put more time in, immerse yourself in the language, and get better at learning. Guys, that is the video. make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'll have a few extra videos linked below that might help you if you're interested in this kind of stuff. And I've also got my course linked below in my Discord. So thank you for watching and have a good one.